The 2025 Indy Car racing season is underway, and Evagoras Papasavvas had his first race weekend with HMD Motorsports and the Indy Next series. Hello everybody, I'm Chuck Gibson with another edition of Tracking Evagoras Papasavvas Racing here on a sports special presentation of Loveland Beacon Talks. Following his off-season move to the HMD Motorsports team and the Indy Next Indy Car Racing Series, the skilled young driver from Loveland got his first taste of race weekend with his new team on the path to Indy Car Racing. Evagoras joins me to share his story of the 2025 St. Petersburg Grand Prix season opening race. Let's get right to Evagoras. There we go. Evagoras Papasavvas, welcome back. So this is 2025's first edition of Tracking Evagoras Papasavvas Racing. So welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. It's a pleasure to be home.
We get started on the 2025 racing season, and it's a thrill to have you back with us. So much happened in the off season, but let's just start with this past weekend. So as we record this, again, Tracking Evagoras Papasavvas on the special sports presentation of not taking stock, but Loveland Beacon Talks. It is Tuesday, March the 4th, which, by the way, happy Fat Tuesday and Mardi Gras wishes to you.
Thank you.
We got a lot of catching up. But anyway, as we do this on Tuesday, we're a couple of days past the first event of the Indy NXT 2025 racing season, which started with the St. Petersburg Grand Prix on the streets of St. Pete on Sunday. And you were there.
I was there. Yes, I was very involved with the team.
For sure. So, and again, I guess the other thing we have to tell the listeners, because so many things happened in the off season, we're doing some catching up. So Evagoras, the USF 2000 season finished up, back in, September at Portland, or actually the end of August. But in the off season, things changed. So you have, not only stepped up, but I mean, it's kind of like skipped a step. You've gone, signed with the HMD Motorsports. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. That is correct.
And then jumped up to the Indy NXT, we just say Indy Next racing program, for a partial season with the HMD Motorsports team. And as you said, you were there, you were part of it with them at the first Indy NXT racing event of the season at St. Pete. So tell me a little bit about, first off, a little bit about this first racing weekend that just passed.
Yeah, so I mean, this first weekend with HMD in Indy Next, and it's a crazy big jump from USF Pro Championships and USF 2000. So it was really interesting to see how the team operated, how the series operates, and it's very much now. It's very much like IndyCar. How the team operates, how the series operates. It's IndyCar essentially at this point, because the goal is to get drivers ready for IndyCar, because that's the next step. Right after Indy Next is IndyCar. So it was really eye opening to see how the team operated and how the series operates. First of all, so much media, and still, even me being a reserve driver and only doing partial season, there's still a lot of media for me to go through, as I was the series' first reserve driver in Indy Next history. So it's a big thing for the series, big thing for the team. So there's a lot of media going on as well on the days leading up to the racing on Thursday and Friday. Like I said, it was really, really cool to learn how the team operated. Very, very serious now. It's really like I think to myself that this is it, basically. The IndyCar team is going to operate just this way as well. So it's like, this is it. I got to get used to it. This is how it's going to be. I really enjoyed it. I honestly think it was awesome.
Well, one of the things I noticed too, and I have to say this because I kind of skipped this step. Evagoras, congratulations on getting together, signing up with the HMD Motorsports team, and jumping up to the Indy NXT. It's essentially, as you just stated, this is IndyCar. This is how IndyCar, NTT, those are the guys that are going to be in the Indianapolis 500. This is how their teams operate, based on what you saw and learned last week. And I know you were there. You weren't there just race day on Sunday, but you were there with the team prepping. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as I understand it. Yes. Yeah. So
and like a lot of IndyCar teams, like Andretti, for example, they also have an Indy Next team. So they have an Andretti Indy Next, and they have the IndyCar Indy Next. So it's very, very directly related to IndyCar, and how they operate is almost identical.
Yeah, so obviously, what a great lesson, and of course, essentially bypassing the USF Pro Series to become this, like you said, the first reserve driver in Indy NXT Series racing, and at the same time, not just a reserve driver like you're going to be sitting around all season hoping for a shot. You are the scheduled driver with HMD Motorsports in events that are coming up later in the season. I know, you're going to be, which is so cool because that whole IndyCar series, it's the road, the street course like you just had at St. Petersburg, on the streets of St. Petersburg, and there's a couple other ones, and then there's the road courses, which you're familiar with, like Road America in Wisconsin, and the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here in Ohio, which is like your home course. But also, and this brings me to, you'll make your debut, barring the fact that you may actually make your debut earlier as a reserve driver, but the scheduled debut for you in the Indy NXT car will be on the oval course just outside St. Louis on June 15th at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Is that correct?
Yes. That would be the first of the three events that I will be guaranteed to drive in. And those three events, as you said, the first one is in St. Louis, Worldwide Technology Raceway. The next one is at Road America, which I've raced at Road America before, so I have a lot of experience there. And then the next one after that is Mid-Ohio. And Mid-Ohio, I have even more experience there. And in previous years, in USF 2000, we've put down some good results at Mid-Ohio, so I'm looking forward to that race.
One of the things I always appreciate, and I always mention to our listeners when we do this, Evagoras, is you have such great humility. I love you said you've had some good results. Hey, listeners, good results equates to he has collected 2 of his USF Road to Indy racing victories on that Mid-Ohio sports car course. So, I think, hey, Evagoras, that's just a little bit better than a good result. That's a great result. So, I know you're a little bit humble about that, and I can appreciate that. But that's got to be very exciting that your 3 guaranteed seats with HMD Motorsports on the Indy NXT circuit this year include Mid-Ohio and Road America, where you have victories at Mid-Ohio and great experience on the Road America course in Wisconsin. How about, what are you thinking in terms of, the oval course? You have a little less experience, on the ovals at that level, but what are you thinking about, getting on that oval course for your debut?
Yeah, so for the oval, I've heard a lot of good things about that oval. That oval, a lot of people, a lot of drivers like that track. I have, people that are in IndyCar. I've talked to some IndyCar drivers, Christian Rasmussen. I've talked to a lot of drivers, a lot of Indy Next drivers who like that track, it seems like a very popular oval. So I'm really excited to get onto that track. I've done that track on my racing simulator here at home, so I do have some experience but only like in which way the turns go. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting to race on the oval. I will be doing some testing before.
Sure.
Hopefully here this next month in April, I'll be testing at Nashville Super Speedway, which is an oval.
Right.
That way I can get some oval experience. And then I'll also be doing a test at Mid-Ohio later in April.
Outstanding. Well, and it's interesting for the listeners, we're talking Indy NXT circuit. And I know, again, just opened up the season, and it's amazing to me. So opened up the season, on Sunday, March the 2nd, officially with that Streets of St. Pete Grand Prix for Indy NXT, and of course the Indy NTT, the guys that we're going to see in the Indianapolis 500 likely also opened on Sunday. But the schedule for NXT, they're not back racing again until, May, if I'm looking at it right. I guess, May 4th is going to be the next, that's going to be the Grand Prix of Alabama. But, you were there, you got a taste of it. So between now and May the 4th, you're going to get on some tracks and do some testing and get some time in the seat of an Indy NXT car, I guess.
Yeah, so hopefully, if the case would have to happen where me as a reserve driver will have to race one of the races that I'm not guaranteed in. So far, having that testing will be very, very beneficial because I will already know what the car. I will already have experience with the car before we go racing, right? Because let's say a driver would have gone out in St. Petersburg. That would have been my very first time in the car. I would have no idea what the car is like prior.
Yeah, that. You would have really been leaning on your personal skills in that situation. I thought about that over the weekend. I thought, man, if something comes up and Evagoras is, in the seat on Sunday in St. Pete, leaning on the experience you have on that street course, and then just your own personal experience. But it would have been that would have been a challenge, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So. Yeah, so honestly, it might have been a good thing that I did not drive. Despite how much I wanted to and how much, watching the other cars go on track really made me hungry and hungrier to go drive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Well, you know what? And so I was thinking about things. The Indy NXT event on Sunday at St. Pete, the winner turned out to be Dennis Hogger, but I believe P2 went to Lockie Hughes, if I'm not mistaken. Which I wanted to ask you about that because you have raced in that first season in the USF 2000. You raced against. You were on the track, fighting for position with Lockie Hughes, and I have a vague recollection. You tell me, Evagoras. I remember a couple of races where, you got the better of Lockie Hughes. So, you got some experience against some of the drivers that are right now, on that Indy NXT circuit, and you'll get a chance to meet up with them on the tracks coming up. But what do you recall? Do you recall some racing with Lockie and
Yeah, no, I do. I remember racing with Lockie in 2023. We had some, with Lockie, he came in as a more experienced driver. I think before he was doing Australian F4, something like that. So he came in with a lot of experience. Learning off of him that year was really, really beneficial. I learned a lot that year for sure. Like you said, there were some instances where I did finish ahead of Lockie. It does, kind of like, I think sometimes, where I would be, if that fact did happen, that I did just get into the car.
Right.
Now, obviously, I'm not saying I would be right with Lockie like in 2000 because I did not do any practice in the Indy Next car or anything like that. So, but yeah, no, it definitely is interesting to think about, like where I would, like my potential in the Indy Next car, for example.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean that has to give you. I guess the question is, seeing him out there racing at that level. I mean, it has to say, hey, I've been there with him. Now, and refresh my memory, was Lockie a teammate with you, with Jay Howard?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking you guys were teammates, and I knew, like I said, I knew you got the better of him in a couple of races there. Did he win the championship in that 23? Did he win the USF 2000, or did he? I mean, he was right there.
Yeah, no, he was really close winning the championship, but he came out second, I believe. So.
I was trying to recall. So it's not. I mean, isn't there? Will you tell me how much confidence that gives you, saying, "Hey, I've been a teammate with him, learned a lot from him, I've raced with him, and had on track experiences where I was right there with him, or even was able to pass him and get a higher position finish." What kind of confidence does that give you, seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it gives me confidence to know that I have the potential to be up there. So yeah, and it just makes me more excited to go racing, to get testing, finally get in the car, get my few laps in the car, get comfortable, get used to everything, and then go driving. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So again, you were there with the team. With the HMD Motorsports guys. So now, were you there like actually on Sunday through the race? I mean, I wasn't sure what your schedule was in terms of when you had to get back home here to Loveland. But so were you there for the Indy NXT race, and were you there for the NTT Indy?
Yeah. So I was there from Wednesday all the way to the end of the day on Sunday.
Oh wow! So now this is a little more fun. We get away from just Evagoras for a second. So what did you think? I mean, I personally, I watched the NTT Indy race, but I saw it on TV. I wasn't right there. Was that a great race or what?
Yeah, no, it was. I'm watching it on TV. Definitely, because with Fox now covering Indy Car, a new partnership, I think definitely for TV it was a lot. It was very interesting to watch on TV and getting all of the angles. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a really good race in terms of position, pit strategies and stuff like that. There wasn't too many on-track passes that I remember. Most of it was done during the during the pit cycle and pit strategies. Right. So then that's something interesting to think about. Now in Indy Next, we don't do pit stops just yet. That'll be just an Indy Car, so that will be something new to learn once I make it to Indy Car. Yeah, well,
which leads me to the next question. As you're making this step up, what are some of the differences for you? Coming out of the USF 2000 series just last season, and stepping up to the Indy NXT, what are some of the differences that you learned a lot in the last few days? What are some of the differences that you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the differences is just how meticulous they are with, as they go into the data and as they set up the car, how specific everything needs to be and how many things they take into account, right? With these bigger cars, bigger tires, faster speeds, more downforce, more horsepower, there's a lot more to think about when driving these cars, and not only when driving them, but when setting them up. And you can definitely see that within the team as they work together to set up the car.
Great. Well, the other question in terms of, on race days, I was just surprised. I did not know NXT, you don't have pit stops on NXT. So what's typically a race day? I mean, is it, how many laps or how many miles, or is it is it a timed race like the USF series, or What
Yeah,
kind of
I
difference
think
is that?
it's like the USF series, to where we have a time limit, and it's just we calculate the amount of laps that we can do in that time limit, and then that's the amount of laps. So it still is technically a lapped race, but those laps, the amount of laps that we get come from the time. So the time I believe is 55 minutes.
I got you.
So.
Yeah. So
At St. Petersburg, we did 45 laps was our race.
you know what? My math wasn't bad because I was going to say what that ends up being about 45 laps, right?
Yeah.
So I was right there. So again, this is another piece for you personally, Evagoras. You haven't done that yet. So that's going to be, a new piece for you. People don't, before we went online with this, recording this session here, we talked a little bit about, you got to step up the training too. You get more work in the gym, ready for more endurance, for longer races. I mean, is that part of it, or what do you say?
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure part of it. It's a big thing, like I said, these cars have more downforce, more horsepower, they have bigger tires, so it's an all-around more physical car to drive. So when I do get to drive the car in April, get to testing, the goal is to be as physically fit and ready to go to drive that car, to make sure that I'm not holding myself back in terms of the physicality of it. So we're working very closely with Pit Fit. They're doing a great job. They take care of a lot of Indy Next drivers and Indy Car drivers, and working with Pit Fit and with D1 training here in Cincinnati. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep working at it. I'm feeling good right now. Keep working at it to get ready to hop in the car. Yeah,
well, you know what? We wish you the very best of luck. Great story. So much fun. It has been way too much fun for me following you and sharing your story here as you've made your way up, even going back to the kart racing days, Evagoras, when you were just like a little tyke back then,
Yeah.
But still showing those skills and being able to move up. Now, that in mind, and kind of wrapping up the story, two quick things. One, tell me a little bit about just the fun aspect. So I know I saw some stuff on the social media pages. There was a great picture of some guy named Mario Andretti hanging out with the up-and-coming Evagoras Papasavvas. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so with that, we were actually... with being with Indy Next, we race right before Indy Car. So, and most of the time, that means our flights are after the Indy Car race most of the time, and and that means that Indy Car drivers, Indy Car teams will also be on that flight. So, at the airport, my dad and I, we saw a guy, and he wasn't facing our direction, but we were like, he looks an awful lot like Mario Andretti. So we went over there. So, both my dad and I went over there to talk to him. And yeah, it actually did end up being Mario Andretti. We talked to him, we introduced ourselves in what I'm doing now with Indy Next. I was wearing my HMD shirt at that time, so he was very familiar. And I was able to get a picture with him. So yeah, it was really cool to shake his hand and to meet Mario Andretti.
Well, what a special moment, that's for sure. So, and of course, I like telling it where he got to hang out with the up and coming young driver named Evagoras Papasavvas.
Yeah.
But and on that note, we're going to wrap up the show here with this. You got a big thing coming up. I mean, again, it's Tuesday right now. When this story and this podcast get published and produced on Loveland Beacon on Wednesday, you'll be one day away from kind of a special moment. There's going to be a watch party, I guess at Loveland High School, with the WLWT Channel 5 television here, local station here in Cincinnati, has put together a feature on you. And so,
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what's coming up. I guess that's going to be Thursday evening from 7 to 8:30. What do you know about it?
Yes, that'll be Thursday evening. It's about a 30-minute documentary at the school, at the Loveland High School. And Yeah, they've been following me around for like about almost a little bit more than a year. They've been following me around. They went to D1 where I was training. They even went to the school to record some stuff there. So yeah, I mean they've been all over the place. They've been to Indianapolis. They've been to my reaction training, Airs Elite. So yeah, they've been all over the place watching and recording, getting stuff put together for a big news story.
So it's kind of an Evagoras Papasavvas Racing documentary is what people get a chance to see, and they can come. Anybody can just come to Loveland High School tomorrow evening and watch it. I guess on the big screen TV or however they'll have that set up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Evagoras, looking forward to whatever's next. As the season goes on, we'll check in with you and continue tracking Evagoras Papasavvas Racing here on Loveland Beacon Talks, sports special presentations. And for everybody, hey, get out to Loveland High School Thursday night, 7 o'clock, and they'll get a chance to meet you, right? You'll be there.
Yeah, yep, I will be there watching the whole documentary that was put together.
Perfect. Well, again, Evagoras, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us on this edition of Tracking Evagoras Papasavvas Racing, and looking forward to talking with you when you can share some more of your what's been going on the test track for you and getting used to being in the seat of that Indy NXT motor car, racing car. I mean, you got to be excited.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I'm excited. So, yeah, I can't wait to hop in the car and to go racing.
Great. All right. Well, thanks again, Evagoras. Talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck.
Take care. Evagoras, thanks for joining us here for another edition of Tracking Evagoras Papasavvas Racing. Remember, everyone, to join in the special watch party of an Evagoras Papasavvas Racing documentary with Evagoras and WLWT TV5. It happens at Loveland High School Thursday evening, March 6th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Public is invited to meet Evagoras and enjoy an evening of food, fun, and racing. For now, this is Chuck Gibson saying thanks for listening. Loveland Beacon Talks Sports Special is a presentation of Loveland Beacon Digital Media and Gibson Communications, LLC.